Welcome to the Viral Ideas Podcast. This is the intersection of content and entrepreneurship. We talked about 4 businesses in this episode that are ready to go totally viral and do 6 figures. I'm super excited about this one because these can all be started up by going outside. So let's get after it.
It's the Viral Ideas Podcast with Josh and Runda.
All right, Josh, there's something that's been on my mind lately.
What have you been thinking about?
This World War III. And
Okay.
so I'm not sure if you've been watching the news recently, but there's a lot of talks about having a World War III. And we're very close on this shouting match between world leaders saying you're gambling with World War III. So that got me thinking.
That was quite the spectacle.
Yeah, huge spectacle. If you didn't watch the 3-hour full press conference, I feel that it's not just me, it's probably the entire world, because World War III, the search trends over the past 12 months has been like steadily showing an upward trend of going towards a medium point. So it's probably not just me. Let's think about this. So every time I think about World War III, okay, what are some solutions that anyone can potentially create in this economy, especially we're probably not in the best economic environment right now. I'm also seeing like some news clips about saying that we might be in a depression. So let me just give you this pitch. Bunker ADUs. And you would probably go like,
What's an ADU?
An ADU stands for an accessory dwelling unit. So it's typically like an addition that you add to your home or your plot of land that already has like a home, but it's like an additional unit. Whether if it's like a shed, it could be a shed or like a living quarters that you put in the backyard. It's pretty common out there where to the point that some websites where businesses have created these really beautiful websites of these small living ADUs. Typically, you see a little bit more often on these ADUs on Airbnb, where they're just like in someone's backyard, and then you book it on Airbnb, and then you get like a temporary stay situation. There's actually quite a few of these businesses because it's such a common business model, but it requires some local expertise in order to create an accessory dwelling unit. It really depends on your local jurisdiction of what area you're in. And then typically you'll find a lot of these ADU companies that will just like take care of the full service along with the permitting in your area. Typically you're not going to find like a one size fit all ADU company. You'll really have to like search for them. So that got me thinking, okay, ADUs are a giant market. Some of these ADUs cost $300,000 just to make in your backyard. Or maybe you have like a larger plot of land. Maybe it's like a little bit more further out. But then in the context of potentially World War III, I started to think, okay, if you can create an ADU above ground, why not create an ADU underground and then make it a bunker? Because like a bunker to me, in this context of the trending topic of World War III and all the political instability that exists in the world, there's probably a reason why Mark Zuckerberg and Jeffrey Bezos all have the world's largest bunkers in their like private residences out there. So I'm just thinking if I'm just like upper middle class and I probably have enough money to create like an ADU, and I'm also stressed about the war, because all the news is making me feel uneasy. Well, if you are currently looking at custom bomb shelters, which like roughly cost the same, like $250,000 or like $300,000. So it's like the same price point as a common above ground ADU. Just like seeing this website, it looks way different than like one of those ADU websites that we just visited.
A little different vibe, maybe.
Yeah. And then it's a lot of nuclear kind of survival type of imagery. But then I feel like you can actually just make or position one of these ADUs as like a survival pod instead of like calling it like a bomb shelter or survival shelter. So then it got me thinking, okay, that should be the business, which is you make ADU websites that are more similar to like the beautifully designed kind of packages. And it's more surrounding about the language of like feeling secure and safe. And then best case, you don't use it in a survival situation, but best case, you are prepared. kind of language. So instead of like the nuclear survival or like the worst case scenario on like making you feel stressed, in these type of situations in the modern age, it's more about having a security or a mindset of feeling secure about having something that will probably survive the worst case scenario, but having like a beautiful website that shows you all the models of these underground bunker or ADUs that you could potentially have beautiful language and decent brand aesthetics. And someone could easily make like a prototype of a website that's just about a very secure underground shelter pod that you can add in. And then we'll take care of the entire full service from permitting, planning, and all the way to putting this modular survival pod in your backyard. I think that could be a very straightforward website, even if you are not experienced in creating backyard shelters or underground shelters. I think you can just make the website at first and then essentially partner up with whoever that's a local expert of like creating these shelters for the full service, and then work with them on some kind of affiliate deal to then take care of branding this thing and marketing this thing. Because World War III is a general trend. Feels kind of sad to talk about this, but like it is true that like people are searching for this topic. There's progressively more news about this topic. So this is going to fuel this industry.
Yeah, the vibe that I'm like picturing of this website that you're kind of imagining right now is like, I think you need to follow the same brand voice as Andrew Rill. It's like there's really something going on here where you're taking a type of service that is not this way at all, and then you're basically turning it into like the Polestar brand, like whatever this vibe of brand is. This is such a good idea, and it would be a lot of fun to execute. And also, like with this being the Viral Ideas podcast, come on, like some of the best viral videos on the internet are about bunkers. Like there's like the Colin Furzy videos. That was one of the best series on the internet. So especially like if you are breaking ground and building one of these things for a client, the content opportunities are amazing for that. Like just start the video up by saying, hey, I'm going to be building a bunker in, my driveway. Maybe it's a disaster preparation thing, but also like people buy like Ford F-350s and Cybertrucks, and this is like a flex to just own, right? Like, why wouldn't you want this? Why not put it in your backyard and then put like a sauna in there, make it like an awesome hangout spot to like replace your backyard in the winter? I don't know. This is awesome. And okay, so here, there's two numbers. First of all, great views, but also like these things, you can build them for 250 grand. It's a lot cheaper than I thought, honestly. Yep. And look, this is so Atlas Survival Shelters. That's the website of the brand that you pulled up earlier. So these guys, like, just as like a secondary thing, they're just posting these things, and they've amassed 400,000 subscribers. That's enough audience that like they're basically in the media business at that point. Yep. I mean, like they have two separate wings of their company. That's no small audience.
Honestly, if you look at the video that has over 171,000 views, the content is not that crazy. It's not really like a comprehensive content. It's really just kind of shots between their builds. It honestly feels like they filmed it for insurance purposes, to literally document for their insurance that they did all the proper procedures.
Yeah, it's probably a little rough around the edges. That's the cherry on top for this idea. I think we should actually make this one. I think that we'd be insane not to just put that website out there.
Yeah. We are now in the survival pod business. If you would like a survival pod in the backyard and you happen to have roughly $300,000, we have no experience, but we will find someone that does have the experience, and we will help you design a beautiful survival shelter. And then, also, best case scenario, you survive the worst case situation. But worst case scenario, you never have to use it, but you got like a really premium, fancy playroom for your kids to have play days in and all unsupervised. Well, like maybe you put a camera in there. That's where you're going to have your parental supervision. But then just not having the noise inside the actual home is an added plus if I was a parent.
If any viewers watching this right now want to purchase one of these bunkers and have it built in your backyard, let us know in the comments. We'll eventually send you an email. Also, if you want to invest in this business or if you want to buy a bunker business, also leave a comment below.
Yeah, or just comment bunker. Maybe we'll brainstorm the plans together on this bunker business. Comment bunker if you're pro bunker.
Comment bunker. Okay, here's the idea. A screen time extension that focuses on content production. Just to elaborate on that, okay? So social media is very addictive. Everybody knows this. It really rewards passive consumption over creation itself. People spend 99% of their time on social media just scrolling. So yeah, like the question is, what if you could only see as many posts as you would create? Would you then engage more meaningfully with the content that you're watching? Do you think maybe you would create more? So yeah, that's where this idea comes from. But the problem that I want to alleviate myself, like I want to be just as most motivated as I could possibly be to produce things. And there's really no situation in which it's a bad thing to make content. I'm here on the podcast with you, but I'm going as far to say like really other corners of the internet, because this idea is actually really hard to apply to something like short form video or anything video related. Like I'm talking about like Twitter, for example. Why shouldn't you have to tweet once in order to see 5 more tweets? Would that not be the best way to get your creative reps in to just become a better writer on Twitter? That's what it really speaks to for me. So to get technical with it, I'm talking about a Chrome extension that tracks how many times you post, and it only lets you scroll as much as you contribute. Obviously to replace doom scrolling, but also to really focus on the idea that some people really want to shift out of a consumption mindset and get into one that's more about creation. That's how I feel about it. It's really just a question of like, could this change social media habits and how much would people pay for it? It's definitely a feasibility thing. Like, of course, we want to give bootstrapped ideas here. Looking at it from that point of view, especially because I'm talking about a Chrome extension right now, you could probably build this for $0 yourself with AI. Runda, I'm curious how like you would tear this idea apart, maybe given your design background, websites. So like this is probably a little bit more up your alley, but like, yeah, I'm just obsessed with this idea because I just want it so bad. Like if anybody knows of something that does this, I'll pay $20 a month for that. I'll maybe 30, whatever. Let me know what it is, because like I want that. It'd be huge.
Yeah, I think if I was a computer engineer or comp sci student or graduate, currently struggling to find like a 6-figure job in the market right now, I think this would probably be one of the simplest side hustles that I could immediately build and bootstrap. I don't think it's that technically challenging to pull it off. I think essentially you'll need to figure out how to connect the activity logs of the social media platforms that you're kind of created the extension for. But once that is all figured out, I would probably only focus on the gamification of it. Because when I think about an extension like this that tries to promote my ratio of like content consumption versus content production or content creation for these social media platforms to try to at least like get me to engage, I would want it to be socially pressuring or socially ranked in some level to build shareability portion on things like Spotify Wrapped. If I'm like the top 0.1% of like Drake's listener on Spotify, I would want to screenshot that and also share to other friends to be like, hey, I'm a bigger Drake fan than you, or like bigger Rihanna fan than you, versus all the other things. I think I would want to figure out gamification of like achievement ranking systems similar to like Xbox or Steam, and then just flex on everyone else, saying that, oh, look at what this app told me that I am. I am a contributor, not like a voyeur or like sheeple like you guys, where my ratio is 1-to-1 in terms of content consumption and creation. So you guys got to step up on engaging with the general public. I think the idea of this entire app and concept has an inherent virality of essentially soliciting more voices in people to actually use and engage with social media. Because I feel like with the amount of social media content and all these like content creators that are essentially just like pumping all these content hour by hour, there's more people that are viewers versus people who are actually engaging in the content creation aspect. And I feel like that's generally creating a bit more of a voyeurism in our generation on only consuming and then being told what to do or how to think, or like the top 10 restaurants that you should visit in Toronto this summer or something like that, versus like actually having a point of view or opinion to share out there, and just like being open or like feel a little bit more comfortable with sharing their opinions. I think if we create the narrative of the brand of this extension, I think that's just a net good on society in general.
Yeah, it would be one of those like make the world a better place. You would actually be making like an unknowing impact on the world that you actually don't know. But the other huge opportunity here, especially with the distribution, marketing, viral angle of this, is you could actually probably generate some pretty strong and compelling case studies. You could really focus on gathering results on how people perform on social media before and after they start using the app. All the data is recorded, obviously. You would definitely be able to generate quite a few case studies, basically along the lines of like, hey, this person downloaded the Chrome extension, started using it, and now they've seen their following increase from 1,000 to 100,000. Still really tells a story that would definitely get quite a few eyeballs. So yeah, I guess like where this leaves it now is, would you invest in this one? Like, should we go build it and try to sell the idea?
If I have like a similar team as the Be Real founders, yeah, it's essentially kind of promoting the similar cultural concept that they're trying to create that app. Because like the whole frustration, I think in this case, is a general trend of more people are not engaging in these platforms, but like becoming viewers. And then that's probably not a greatest thing. And then it is getting people inside their heads on not being their full authentic selves. So just something like this, I think I would probably brand it similar to whatever tone of voice that Be Real is giving initially, and then pull off whatever is the extension or the native third-party platforms are reading your activity logs to then give you either a DM or like a prompt notification to say, hey, it's time to post or something like that. Even just like an app that reminds you, hey, you should be posting, instead of like,
what are you doing right now? Like,
probably not posting.
You should be thinking. They really should be thinking that. Like, I try to tell myself that, because like it's almost like when you're hungover from like a party and you're like, what have I done? That's how I kind of feel after I scroll on my phone and then realize, wait, 2 hours went by, and I think, wow, I actually probably could have made like 5 videos in that time, but instead I watched all these things, and then I'm like, what do I even remember about what I watched in those 2 hours? I don't know. It was probably a complete waste of time. So this idea tackles that. That's the goal. So to sum that one up, gamify creation of content. This one's like very meta viral.
I just imagine it would be funny to me, like if someone made the app and every time when it prompts you to post, you know, the Everest College guy, they did this commercial back in 2008, I think. And it just progressively became a meme, but it's this guy that looked impromptu and in the street, but it was essentially promoting Everest College on just going to the college. And the way he's like speaking to you is like motivational, but then kind of in the vibe of, okay, you should really be doing something. Stop sitting around. Like, what are you doing with your life? Anyways, I want that guy to like tell me, hey, you should be posting. What are you doing sitting on your toilet, just like watching these people? Film yourself on the toilet. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, for real. It actually doesn't matter.
I'd invest if we get the Everest College guy.
Okay, so there we go. If anybody wants to do a 3-way partnership, hit me up and then I'll tell Runda, and then Runda will give us the money to do it. So we're good. It's all ready to go. So, yeah, fire down in the comments section if you're interested.
Really quick, I'll probably like also add in the show notes of the Everest College guy.
You're sitting on the couch watching TV and your life is passing you by. You keep procrastinating over and over. Well, maybe I'll go to school next year, maybe next semester. No, do it right now. They'll work with you after work, or you can go before work. You can do whatever you need to do to graduate. Go talk to somebody right now. They out to help you. You spend all day on the phone anyhow. Why don't you make a phone call that's going to help you in your future? All you got to do is pick up the phone and make the call. Why are you making it complicated? It's easy.
It's easy.
Wow.
I love them. Call now.
So something's really been on my mind, like, given the whole weather situation lately.
Josh has a whiteboard behind him and he's writing something out.
Sidewalk snow. Okay. We were just dealing with this a few days ago. This is what the sidewalks were like. It was pretty nuts. And who knows, maybe it will be like that again in a week. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Obviously, everybody's talking about how this is like a big problem. So where does my mind go? Basically, I'm going to finish off the idea with sidewalk snow multi-level marketing. Yes, we're going in this direction. Okay. It's a $0 idea right off the bat. This is basically like the ultimate bootstrapped idea. And the goal here is for it to be a business that you could make about $10,000 to $20,000 a month with. Are you interested?
You got my appetite whet. I also love a good MLM.
Okay.
I'm interested to hear more.
Okay, so basically, there's already lots of companies that shovel people's driveways. It's a very premium service. People pay $500 plus per month for from just providers that I've heard of in the city. So it's already kind of a high ticket thing. It starts to make sense when you realize, like, hey, well, they have so much scale. They've got to send trucks everywhere. So what we want to do is we actually just want to cut all the logistics out. I want to boil this idea from something that you don't need trucks for or hire a team or anything like that. This just requires a shovel. So find one or go to the store and purchase one for $20 and put it on a credit card. So you're still not spending anything up front, really. Go to your next door neighbor and tell them that you would like to offer just an ongoing agreement to keep their sidewalk cleared of snow. Not their driveway, not their walkway, only their sidewalk. And the sidewalk, well, you're gonna have to service it yourself, so you do need to be like able-bodied and everything. So you're kind of going into an agreement like that. For pricing, I would say somewhere around $10 per meter. That just feels like an easy ballpark number for me. For two reasons. Number one, massively cheaper than what you would be paying like an official snowplow company to do it. It's a literal fraction of the cost. And second of all, it's scalable. It's very simple. It actually makes you realize like there's a lot of earning potential with this one. You know, you come and say, okay, $10 per meter. People don't have the widest of houses, especially locally here. Like if we're going with this as a local idea, this is like just to show where my inspiration is coming from. These houses, I'm guessing, okay, one of these blocks is, I think that's about like 1 meter. So if you're looking at this house right here, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would probably say, okay, like $50 per month. And I will do this for you. So like, honestly, in my opinion, that's not bad, because let's remember this idea is you go outside and you do this in your immediate neighborhood. Like you only do this within a short walking distance of of where you're actually storing all of your snow removal stuff. And like, if you think about it, I would step out the door for $50 to do maybe 20 minutes worth of work. That's not that bad. Going deeper here, I mean, like, hey, so you got that one house, it's $50. The main thing here is that we want to have scale with it. Like you see, like you look at this neighborhood and you should think of this like it's a game of Monopoly. And you're just trying to get every house next to each other and use that as marketing fuel to just show like, hey, you've got two houses right here. They're keeping their sidewalks cleared, but you've got this one house in the middle and it's got a big sheet of ice on it. And you're thinking, hey, someone could slip and fall on this. This is not good. Like, the neighborhood, they're going to like put this upon themselves. And the more people that get it, the more people that will want to get it. Yeah. Ultimately, bringing in the MLM angle is, well, once you've reached enough scale that you can't go any further than where you're able to like physically provide the services. At that point, just again, if you're sticking to the stay in your own neighborhood rule, saturating one neighborhood, let's say you did 1 kilometer of continuous sidewalk. $10 times 2 for both sides, that's $20,000 right there per month in recurring revenue. So you obviously have room for either hiring subcontractors or, again, going with the MLM route and turning this into a franchise business, going to people in other neighborhoods and saying, do you want this territory? It's available if you want it. And they're going to have to buy in it to your trainings, use your practices, and maybe you're white labeling the brand. Maybe they're doing it underneath the same name. There's a lot of opportunity there. So, that's kind of the trajectory here. Start out tomorrow. Literally find your first client in one day, guaranteed. Start shoveling, make $50 a month in your first month. Get yourself to 10, 20K. And then from there, I don't know what's happening with you. You're going to be a mob boss or something. What's your immediate reactions?
So the inherent business itself, it's definitely solving a market problem, which is majority of the areas in Canada, at the very least, there are typically some type of bylaw saying that you have to shovel snow on your sidewalks, at least within the end of a snowfall at that 7-hour range. So if someone that's just like taking a vacation or like who frequently travels or have homes that are rented out to tenants, generally they're going to need a service like that. If they're not doing them themselves or like they don't have the time to do it, that specific aspect of it actually do serve a purpose. And it serves a purpose in a way that they don't actually need the additional service of getting snow shoveled out of their driveway. So there's a particular demographic or niche demographic that this service would apply to. And I think like the MLM portion actually is a nice bonus, because when I think about snow removal service, it's typically on visit or by monthly maintenance. Usually all the vendors in the market, they're kind of just assuming people will want all of their driveway to get shoveled up all together, but they're not really providing the bare minimum service of not getting fined essentially by their local government to be like, oh, we're only charging $10 per visit, or like something like a simple $40 to $50 range of like a monthly subscription to shovel your sidewalk so that you're not getting fined as a homeowner. So that is like a very interesting case. The MLM portion, I think it would be more effective to actually not go by discount or like commission fees, but like by the additional square footage that they're gaining, or maybe if they refer enough customers, they win like a really fancy shovel or like an electric snow removing shovel. So that could literally be the freebie that they're winning in this like MLM scheme.
Free salting, free sanding.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't do it by price, but do it by like additional service or like a freebie of a thing that's like low cost. So I think it will have traction. I was also thinking about like, okay, the other side of the MLM, are you selling the business as a package to other people that are trying to create this like ecosystem? And I think in this case, there could be some traction that you can get by teenagers who are able to start like a simple business, start feeling entrepreneurial. I think that's a good case for them to receive this snow shovel package or snow removal kind of device to essentially either rent it out and then maybe you get like a parental guarantor so that if the kid breaks it, if you have a guarantor, that essentially eliminates all the liability that you might have as a franchise.
Yeah, you'd basically be building your own mini student works.
Yeah.
For anybody who hasn't heard of this. Like, this is basically an MLM for high school students to do painting and window cleaning. So yeah, like that could be an end game. Like maybe you could just end up getting acquired by Student Works or similar company in the end.
I mean, would anyone really complain if you got more 16 to 18-year-olds to like shovel snow in the winter?
No, for real. This is just like doing a good to society. You're getting the kids off of TikTok and they're going outside into the snow. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. That's definitely who you want your contractors to be if you end up hiring out. Either way, I think you want to be getting like 16 to 18-year-olds for this.
Yeah, I think if I was a parent to like a 16-year-old or 18-year-old teenager and they're just like kind of twiddling their thumbs during their winter break, I would probably even suggest this. I'm like, hey, this is an interesting thing that you could potentially make some money. As a parent, I would probably help advertise this MLM to my kid.
Yeah, of course. And we know it's the Viral Ideas podcast. Like this is a perfect build it in public play for going viral. Like literally just announce that you're like, hey, I'm starting this business, and even tell people like your pricing strategy, give updates on your profitability, everything. Just build it in public, because so many people will see that and they'll be like, that's so good. It's the youth kid starting a business. Like, what could be wrong with that? So yeah, this is actually perfect for any listeners who might be like 16 or something. This one's a layup. But also, if you just want to make money and you're able-bodied, I actually think that you could just start doing this. I don't see how it could not work. People do this with garbage bins and for around similar pricing. A lot of directions you could go in with that one.
It'll be interesting to like also do the how-to content on TikTok or like short form video, and the entire franchise package to 16 to 18-year-olds is literally just like a series of like TikTok videos.
Yeah, it would be very, very digestible. Maybe you at that point like save yourself the time and effort and have somebody make you those edits that are like AI generated Peter Griffin talking to Stewie Griffin about like different educational concepts, and then at the very bottom, put some Subway Surfers and GTA 5 just like stacked, and then they'll like really get the message.
Yeah, an informational franchise package with Subway Surfers.
I really hope somebody goes out there and makes like $20K a month with it. But I know you had one thing that you were talking about, something to do with Army survival guides.
Did you know that there's a PDF out there that someone just released onto the internet of the entire US Army survival guide? And I was on Reddit. It was just like super interesting that this thing is just put out there. I kind of stumbled upon this entire thing because of the stress with war earlier. I'm just going on to this knees deep into the topic of World War III. I suddenly found this PDF that was posted 5 years ago. And when I looked into the entire PDF, it turns out to be a relatively legit manual, and it was published in the May of 2002. And it literally says headquarters of Department of the Army. So it seems relatively legit. And how I know that it seems relatively legit is because this entire document is over 600 pages and it's actually insane. And the amount of content, just based on if I just go to the table of contents, it's actually pretty hefty. So then, as we're kind of going on this general trend of World War III being a hot topic, I was brainstorming, okay, if this survival guide is like a necessity that people eventually may stumble upon when they're either getting drafted or may potentially be drafted, even though it might not happen. They might actually stumble upon this content to be curious or see what to anticipate to like a super anxious type that may or may not be me. So then it got me thinking, this 600 plus pages of content could essentially be a content series, a video content series that someone that's a content creator type and to just try out different videos, they might actually be ripe to create this idea of creating these type of army survival guide content chapter by chapter. And when I look at this document, it has 23 chapters essentially. Every chapter has maybe 3 different subtopics or chapters that you can probably create a decent amount of content on. At least 60 videos in these series. And then you could be survival guide creator in the context of army situations as more people are trying to find something about how do I deal or like what can I anticipate in the context of getting drafted or in a situation of World War III. Maybe they just are curious in general about going into the army as a career. I think video content like this might actually go off while we're riding this general trend of like political instability and international relations being like a wobbly thing. And I think if there's a content creator out there that just do a lot of these like real life vlogs or some kind of like interesting challenges, why not do like a series of army survival guide content and just dissect it chapter by chapter? And you could also have AI to assist you in scripting out the entire piece of the content because you have all the chapters to essentially create a relatively structured video off of, and then just make a bunch of these 10-minute video guides on how to wrap a bandage around your arm.
Babe, wake up. The U.S. Army just dropped a free playbook for years worth of social media content. And all you need is ChatGPT to unlock it. So basically you're saying we're going to take this book and then we're going to just make it all into video. Each individual lesson in the book can be its own set of videos. So that sounds like a huge content opportunity. Like of course, there's going to be some like really visually interesting stuff going on in there. And like it would just be fun to make. So like that's like obviously a great idea for so many reasons. But I also do wonder, forgive me if you don't know the answer to put you on the spot like this, but is that like in the public domain?
You know what? I actually don't have an answer to that, but I can't think of a world where the US Army would be mad to make content to teach people and actually also relate with people on how to survive in the US Army. I would imagine like worst case scenario, you get an email from like someone in the US Army communications department going like, hey, we don't like this part about the video, but we like the rest of the video. Can you just like change this part so it looks good on us?
Yeah, that's actually very true. I would expect definitely something like that from the US Army. The reason why I asked that is I just wonder if it's like from a copyright standpoint realistic to do like new renditions of this, I guess. So I mean, you're making all this content, like maybe you're like unlocking revenue from YouTube Shorts or something like that. But like, let's assume that like this content is not yet like earning money from ad revenue. I think a product that maybe I would sell with this, like maybe you could just start it out as a digital product. Also, like there's no reason why you couldn't go physical because like print on demand is a thing. I would start selling copies of this, but maybe do it a little bit differently than like this version. I mean, this is 600 pages and it's just like blocks of text. Like it must be insanely hard to digest. I'd probably release some type of summary or maybe like a graphic novel version of it, something like that. And then use your content to push that as a product. I think that would be like a really great combo for something that's like set up for success in the long term.
100%. There are also a whole lot of other survival guide handbooks that you as a content creator can also remix of like these handbooks into coffee books or informational graphics or posters into certain pages that just seems interesting. I just noticed on the same thread of this Reddit thread, this guy also gave us like similar references of like the Ranger Medic Handbook, SAS, Survival Handbook, Ranger Handbook, and Special Forces Tracking and Counter Tracking Manual. So these are endless content. I think that within the survival niche is like a whole thing. This might be a really valid angle as a content creator to just dissect all these handbooks and then create these like series of, okay, I'm going through every single chapter of these survival manuals or handbook guides, and this is my video series. And then that could be your life as a content creator now.
It could actually be your life because the US Army has literally written it out for you. And they've got 600 pages worth of maybe some of it slop for you to cut through and find those golden nuggets of viral videos. Because there's definitely some good stuff in there. You're basically on a trajectory to be like 6 months to a year away from being the next Bear Grylls. Just think about it that way.
Yeah, and arguably we do need that modern day Bear Grylls personality that's in the likes of Jake Paul.
Yeah. And one day you too could have your own knife company. And then maybe you could get as big as Jake Paul, and then you could even have your own hydration beverage.
You could also go the Mr. Beast angle and then have like an Amazon show to have like a competition of Survivor. But it's like all just like kid influencers.
It's so obvious, like literally just be Mr. Beast, and then you'll go viral. Obviously, I think that's what the real answer is to this episode.
Yeah, I think I might have like a nice premise now. It's just like a bunch of couch potatoes and iPad kids trying to survive in like the wilderness. I think the show is going to be called iPad or Die.
Well, I think that would be a great show to go along with the web app that you have to post to scroll with. You could do this as a partnership. If you're a content creator or maybe you're even going a step beyond that. Maybe you're like a cinematographer and you have some very honed in unique skills in the way that you produce your own content. Going over to a business that is like-minded, like one of these companies that's making the apps to block social media from your phone. I mean, like that in itself, that could just be its own series. You could make a game show, iPad or Die. There you go.
Yeah, I think that was a really interesting premise that we just created. And it definitely spun in between whether it's like coffee books or it's a reality show that this entire content empire can spin into. This episode was a wild one. And any ending thoughts? What idea would you invest most?
Well, I think I really want to stay true to the snow shoveling idea, but I do think that my back tells me that it's actually the army. It's actually the army book idea. That one has an awesome amount of potential to it, and it's really the type of thing that anybody could pick up. You would learn survival as you go. That's a beautiful idea.
Yeah. And then I can see some interesting partnerships being struck in wherever the local content creator is based in, and then just strike a interesting deal with the army.
Yeah, the end game is incredible because then you become basically an instrument of propaganda for United States military. And if you got into this idea to make money in the first place, I'm sure they pay well for that.
Or the Canadian Armed Forces. And I've seen some of those RFPs. So if you're a communications director in the Canadian Armed Forces, maybe call us, and then we got even more ideas for you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Oh, maybe we should do an RFPs episode. If anyone's listening and they want an RFPs episode, leave a comment about that and we'll do it.
Yeah. Comment RFPs on this video.
We'd have to throw viral out the window for that one. I don't think there's any viral angles to that stuff, but yeah. No, for real, that would be a fun episode. So if anybody actually wants that, for real, let us know. Even if one person says do it, we will do it. So
yeah, it's just like, all right, one person said do it. So it's really for this one viewer, which out of the 2 viewerships that we have in our videos, that's 50% said yes.
Let us know. To our listeners, thanks for joining us. And yeah, make sure you let us know about what you think about these ideas.
Yeah, and then maybe go look at some links in the description. Maybe you'll find a link to book a brainstorm with us.
There you have it. Okay.